I'm pretty sure Anthony is here today, but you look nothing like Anthony. How are you today, Suzanne?
I've got hair. Big difference.
Love it. Let's get started.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, Suzanne. So great to see you. And of course, Anthony Melchiori will be joining us. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. What episode are we on now?
Today is episode 615.
615. You'd think I'd be able to count. Oh, my goodness. Speak of the devil. Here he is right now. Anthony Melchiori joining the show. All right, Suzanne.
Am I really the devil?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, producer Suzanne, for being
My
here.
pleasure. Have a great show.
All right, see you later. All right, Anthony, while you're here and while you're getting set up, I want to encourage everybody to go ahead and visit ideas.com when you're at AHOA this week. They're going to be in booth 102, I believe, this week. So be sure to come on by. Come and say hello to us. I know those guys are going to be coming by on Thursday. We're going to be talking about data science and stuff like that and how it applies to your hotel. Anthony, how's your weekend, my friend?
You say data science and I get excited. You say data science and you seem like you're bored when you said it.
No, I was just trying to get the sentence out.
I love as much that. Where are you? I love that bar.
This is at Venetian Palazzo, where I'll be headed on, I'm looking at my calendar, May 16th. I'll be there drinking away because I'll be at the IHG's conference doing a special speaking engagement for those good folks. So that'll be exciting.
And hopefully I will be with you, my friend.
I hope so. That'll be great. I love that you're in Central Park. It's fall again by you, Anthony. Spring over here on Long Island, though.
Yeah, it's listen, anything that's not snow and cold and dreary. Yesterday was a dreary, cold day in New York.
I know. I lived through it. But let me tell you, Anthony, before we bring on our great guest, Michael Shindler, president of Four Corners Advisors, tell us how he sees the state of the hospitality industry and shares all the stuff that you may not be considering out there. I got to tell you, last week we were talking about how some hotels really didn't care. But I got to be honest with you, Anthony, I stayed at a hotel this weekend where they were really super nice, went out of the way and cared. I actually haven't done this in years, left my iPad there. They tracked me down, called me, and I was able to recover it.
Without having you didn't have to call. They called you.
They called me. I didn't even realize it.
No one ever does that. And I never understood why you just send it to Lost and Found. Why not call the person? You know whose it is.
Yep.
Oh my God, I love that. So your kids any closer to getting out of college?
We'll see. My son Jake did love Franklin and Marshall this weekend, and my other son Ben has this big project that he's doing. He needed to work on it, but he couldn't stay on the college campus because he's not a student, so they wouldn't let him in. So what did I do, Anthony? I went over to the Home 2 Suites in downtown Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I said, hey, could you do me a favor as somebody here in the hospitality industry? And the lovely lady went back behind the thing. Keith, the general manager, came out. She's like, what do you mean? What's going on? So I talked to him for a minute. Next thing you know, we got a brand new listener on the show. My son got to work over there while I went to go pick up my iPad, and everything worked out really well. So the spirit of hospitality is certainly alive.
Well, that's really good to hear. And it is sporadically, but I'm seeing, unfortunately, in some areas, a downward spiral. So just as a complete tangent, I went to breakfast. We're trying to get to breakfast with my two old friends for a long time. And one of my friends I went to high school with. Yeah. And even I think middle school. And what's so funny was he knows stories. I was like, I forgot that story. How do you even remember that? He goes, well, you broke my moped and you say you were running away from the cops. So I remember that story. Yeah.
Oh, they're that old, those friends.
And I don't think I was running away from the cops. I don't remember. I think I told him that. I did break his moped. But it's just funny. Old friends, you're like, wow, I haven't spoken to him about this kind of stuff in 40 years.
All right, guys, if you're going to be at AHOA, please come by and say hello to me. I'll be there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I will be in Alabama.
Yeah, man, you've got a special thing going on. I'm not going to embarrass you today, but I know you're going to be over there. You couldn't make it. You would have loved to have been with all of us in Baltimore. That'll be fun. So I'll be at the Baltimore Convention Center. Come say hello, please. We'd love to see you. All right, let's get on with the show today. Now, the yin to our yang, Michael Shindler of Four Corners Advisors. Michael, great to see you again. It's been too long since you've joined us here on No Vacancy Live.
Show 501.
Yeah.
I was show 501.
Are
He's
you
a numbers guy. He's a numbers guy.
Yeah, and that's a long time ago. It took us over 100 shows to get you back. I don't know if that says something about us or something about you, Michael Shindler.
It's probably me.
Yeah. So how's it feel to be called Yang? We're Yin, you're Yang. He said, I hope he has good news for us.
I've been called worse.
Yeah,
I saw some old friends last week. I was in New Orleans for the NCAA Final Four. Me and 70,000 of my closest friends in the Superdome.
Awesome.
Disappointed in the result because of my affinity and relationship with the University of North Carolina, but our boys showed well, and we're proud of them. And my basketball gnome is looking out and not facing the corner as he is when the team embarrasses us.
Oh wow! So, but Kansas, it's Kansas City that one, right?
Kansas, University of Kansas,
or
Kansas University.
Right. I never knew that college basketball was a big thing. Growing up in Brooklyn, college nothing, like
right.
College sports. So I go out. I'm in the Air Force, and I'm working in Overland Park, Kansas, on the weekends. And all of a sudden, these old ladies, and I'm not saying old like we're old, like 50s, 60s. I'm talking like great grandmothers, painted in all the colors of Kansas University. And I was like, what the hell is this? And the entire hotel was taken over by basketball fans. And I had no idea this was a thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
What rock have you been under?
It's called Brooklyn. Hey, did you know anything about college sports?
I was actually shocked when I got to college that not only people cared about college sports, but like they love high school sports in Texas. Yeah. I have no understanding of that whatsoever. And I was in a high school marching band. I'm like,
listen, I was at Knob Noster, Missouri. Overland Whiteman Air Force Base is attached to a small town called Knob Noster. My colonels, who I was close with, sons went to Knob Noster High School and played on the Knob Noster football team, and they eventually went on to play at college. You would have thought the Giants were playing, the Jets were playing, the Cowboys were playing.
Right.
It's Friday Night Lights. I didn't know that was a thing.
That's too funny. But yeah, that's what happens for a bunch of us New Yorkers here, Michael. So, Michael, I will tell you, I was at the Hampton Inn Mechanicsburg. I want to thank the team over there for doing such a great job. They had a great weekend over there. They had 2 sports teams. They had a wedding, and they had my family, which took 2 rooms. So they were pretty busting at the seams. So I'm starting to see again the haves and the have-nots in the hospitality industry playing itself out in real time. Where are we today as far as you're seeing it in the overall health of the hotel business today?
Well, I think we are recovering, but I think we're far from the full recovery yet. I think we tend to look at the industry sometimes so much in the aggregate that we're seeing the forest, but we're not seeing the trees.
Right.
And that's where I sort of feel we've been. Even with the recovery, which everybody is happy about, I think groups are starting to return, but we're still a long way away. I think corporate travel and incentive travel is starting to return, but we're a long way away. Mm-hmm. But I think you can almost draw a line in some respects across the middle of the country from east to west. Mm-hmm. And things below the line, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Miami, even to a certain extent, Los Angeles, mm-hmm. And the southern cities, particularly the southern resort destinations, are doing really, really well. And you'd think that there was no problem at all. But then you go north and you look at New York and Chicago and San Francisco,
right,
and Detroit, and there's still a lot of pain out there.
New York, I'm seeing New York. I was trying to get a friend's rate for a friend of mine this weekend. And New York was pretty busy. I mean, the rates were up over 300, and my friends couldn't even give me a rate.
Wow.
And you know, that's the challenge there is confusing anecdote with data. And you know, is that something going on this weekend, or is it just the hotel you chose?
So what is the data telling us?
Well, and again, and Glenn knows I know you've got
some data. I've got some data here too. So go for it.
I've scoured the CBRE does a great report. I think quarterly, the State of the Union of the hotels. They issued one literally at the end of March, so it was a first quarter, pretty current. And we're still someplace between 12 and 20% below 2019 levels in occupancy.
Mm-hmm.
We are actually, the last couple of months, we finally exceeded
Right.
ADR again,
Right,
overall
Michael,
averages.
this is in aggregate nationwide,
aggregate.
right? Yes, go on, please.
We've exceeded it, whether that's inflation adjusted or absolute dollars, I don't know, because they don't tell us this.
Yeah.
And, RevPAR is improving into March. And so we're, 7-8% down from 2019 levels. But January, February, which are not typically great in northern climates,
right,
we're down as much as 35%. Yeah. So it's still a little challenging to see it. I think that January,
Michael, but isn't it where you would have thought it would be a year ago or 2 years ago? We're kind of where we are in our aggregate throughout the country. You think
I might say that we're probably, if I were sitting here 2 years ago exactly, and maybe I was,
probably.
I wouldn't have thought we'd be only 7 or 8% down.
Really?
Yeah. I think I would have thought we'd be much more down. I was always one that thought it was.
You would be further down.
I would have thought if we were doing this in April of 2020, given what had happened, that we would be further down.
Right.
Today.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So it's great to see you feeling a little bit bullish based on what you were thinking 2 years ago.
Yeah. Although I think, then we get into chain scale and, budget, economy.
Right. I know.
Hampton Inn and Mechanicsburg, those small town, those are that's what's leading the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But you get into upscale, upper upscale, and luxury, and they're still down. And that's even with, again, anecdote, my son-in-law works in Phoenix for what is probably the best resort in Arizona. They have had record-breaking years.
Right.
The last 2 years, even 2020, great years. But if Phoenix resorts are doing that well, who is countering that? And that's everybody north of that imaginary line I just drew.
Yeah, it makes sense. Every hotel in San Francisco, potentially, right?
San Francisco is way down.
Right.
Chicago is way down.
But is that a travel problem or is that a reputation problem?
I think it's that, the cities have just not, people are only now returning to work. We're 2+ years into the COVID, and there are still people that are doing remote work, still people are doing hybrid work. Some people are returning to the office, but the activity is down. And I think that I'm sitting here having picked up COVID when I was in New Orleans. And,
hey, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. It's another thing I can put on my resume.
So you have it now? You currently have it?
Yes.
Wow.
I tested positive on Friday. I'm taking the antivirals. I'm feeling fine.
Can you wear a mask, please? I didn't realize.
We're a little nervous over here across the country, Michael.
Well, my wife and I are like strangers now.
Yeah.
Who is that woman walking by with her mask on?
But also, not to get off in the COVID world, but how is this new variant? I mean, you're taking whatever you're taking, but were you feeling really, really bad? Is that why you're doing it?
I had a cold. I felt like a cold. I had a little sore throat, little congestion, but it lasted. My history with colds, I've had enough history that I know how they flow, and this one didn't seem to be flowing the same. And of course, now if we think something's a cold, we have to test for coronavirus.
Yeah,
and having used the home tests before, this time I used the home test, and it was basically a big bell going off.
Once you used it, did you then go to a doctor, or you just say?
I called my doctor, and she immediately prescribed the antivirals, and I went and picked them up at the drugstore, and I've been taking them. It's a 5-day regimen of 3 pills twice a day.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because people say the numbers are down because most people are using home tests. So now, does he register that you're positive?
I think that, I don't know whether the doctor does. It's a she, by the way. But the pharmacy does. The pharmacy does by issuing the prescription.
Okay.
Right.
It was also
That's
free.
Yeah. Ooh, that's always good. So
We're
I
paying
want
for it one way or the
to
other.
let's get back on topic
Yeah.
here. We're talking about the haves and the have-nots, and one of the things that we've been talking about eagerly over the last couple of years is the incredible leisure business, but we'd still been missing the group business. I got encouraging news from our friends over at Noland that meetings right now are seeing incredibly a 428% increase over March 2021. Now, don't take that as a huge increase when you have very few meetings. 420% increase is going to be there. However, meeting volumes in the last month went up 55.5% from February to March. And they, over at Noland, are seeing this as a real turning point right now for the meetings and events market out there, with the top 5 markets being Washington, Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, and San Diego. And anecdotally, I can see when I was down there at the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference in Atlanta, it was pretty busy as well. Are you getting the sense, Michael, that data is ringing true with the return of group business, even if the groups aren't as robust as they might have been in the past?
I do, because the lead volume is that's the thing I look at, is that the lead volume has been up month over month over month over month. And remember, we had that sort of setback at the end of the year when the Omicron variant came in, and people started canceling first quarter. But for the
I'm a
most
victim
part,
of that. Radisson's event got pushed from February to August, for example.
Right. But the key is that a lot of the groups are staying in the year for the year.
Yeah.
And so a hotel that I asset manage, we lost almost all of our first quarter business, and virtually, I think we're up to like 85 or 90% of that has already been rebooked for this year.
Right.
So that even though first quarter is down, the last 9 months of the year are starting to really look robust. And what's not been booked, we're getting cancellation fees and taking the cancellation fees. And I think that's become a brand standard pretty much across the major brands.
Interesting.
Now, it's still a short booking cycle for the most part. We're not seeing people really booking robustly into 2024 right now. 2023 is actually looking good.
Yeah.
Because the lead volume is such, and now it's, as we only have 8.5 months left in this year, it's tough to squeeze in a decent sized group in a month that you're already looking to. Whether it's
cancellation policies, though, are more restrictive than they used to be, because a lot of companies won't book under the old circumstances because a lot of companies got screwed. Are you finding that, or are you finding that they're as tight as they've ever been?
I don't think. I think because of the shorter booking cycle, people are basically saying, okay, you want this rooms in 60 days. You can't walk away on us.
Right.
It was different when it was a year and a half out, where you knew you had time to rebook.
And we were in of it, and everybody was much more about understanding. Now it's like I've got a hotel to keep in business. We got to move forward here. Yeah.
Right. I think the booking cycle is short enough now. And there's still stuff going on a year from now, 18 months from now. But I think that the in the year, for the year stuff is so short that the hotels are being able to say, look, we'll book it for you. We'll hold it for you. But it's got to be real. It's got to cost you if you walk away from us, because you've just emptied out a spot on our calendar.
Right. And the closer in you get, particularly 60 days out, to take your example, it's going to be near impossible to fill in that business in any meaningful sense.
Right.
Yep.
So I think that they're getting a little tighter. And on the one hand, I think that's great. On the other hand, obviously, if there is another surge of COVID and it starts to create restrictions again, you're going to have to look at your customer relationship. It's like anything else. And you might not take the cancel, or you say, look, we'll give you 6 months to rebook that at some point. If you rebook with us within 6 months, we'll apply your deposit against that meeting. If you don't, we'll take it in 6 months. So you're not taking it the minute they give you notice. You're waiting a period of time.
So the hotels that aren't coming back as quickly, where are the owners' heads? Are they looking to sell? What are they looking at?
I don't know. I was looking at the data on that CBRE was kind enough to provide on the CMBS markets. And remember, one of the times we've talked about this on the show before,
Since it's been over 100 shows, we're talking about it again because conditions have changed.
It was at its height. It was about $25 billion of hotel debt was in receivership or in watch status with the CMBS, and that's whatever percentage the CMBS market is of the whole hotel market. And that 25 billion represented more or less 25% of the entire hotel CMB group. So 25 billion against 100 billion. The number has gone from 25% to right now it's about 12% in watch status. Now that's still $12 billion that's still in watch status. And I would argue that in the northern climates, at least, there are still hotels that have not reopened.
Right.
So I think for the most part that those owners that are of hotels that are still in CMBS, that it's not the owners anymore making the decisions. It's the receivers. It's the special servicers, where their money is the first money in the tranche to be at risk. So they're trying to figure out how they salvage that. We have not seen an enormous increase in the sales of those notes or in the sales of those assets that have not reopened yet. And, I don't know how the special servicers think. That's a different breed of cat, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. Anthony?
I just got a text this morning from a broker that I use here in New York, and he's got 2 hotels in Midtown that he wants to know if I have any buyers for. So and there are 2 hotels I wouldn't expected that are being sold. So I'm going to actually find out more about that. But yeah, it's interesting times. But you have COVID, right? The mayor of New York City just got COVID. You're hearing people getting COVID, but things aren't stopping. People, I think we just realized it's like, listen, take your medicine, call your doctor, stay at home, shut up, get on a Zoom.
Well, what I understand from this new BA-2 Omicron variant out there is it's actually less severe than Omicron, but more catchy than the original Omicron.
So that means everyone's going to have it.
Everyone's going to have it, but everyone's going to think it's a cold or whatever and go, forget about it.
Well, I was down in New Orleans with my son, and he had flown in from Denver. I flew in from Phoenix. We had a great weekend, and he has had no symptoms whatsoever. And I mean, we were in the same hotel room, so.
Yep.
Yeah, it's weird. Listen, my daughter and her boyfriend were up in a cabin, and for the weekend a couple of years ago, in the beginning of this, he never got it, and she got it, and he never got it.
Wow,
strange.
Well, yeah.
Anyway,
you never know.
So where are we a year from now, Michael?
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, that's great.
Again?
Where are we from? Going to your crystal ball, take it out. Where are we a year from now?
I think we're starting to approach, back to the good old days. We're not there yet.
Right.
I think transient business will return sooner than the group, sooner than the corporate incentive. I am hopeful that 2024 puts us, right on track with 19 on sort of an inflation adjusted basis, and non-inflation adjusted basis.
Right.
And that 2025, we're back to where we are.
Yeah.
Assuming that the recession that people are now predicting, even though expected to be mild, doesn't interfere. And
you mentioned inflation. Like everybody I know is like my friend just built one of those outside things for the restaurants, one of those sheds that everybody eats in now, indoor, outdoor. He spent $15,000 on wood.
Oh, God.
Wood a couple of years ago would have been $4,000.
Right. Well, I think we're seeing it everywhere. The problem is that even though we can raise rates, and I think that's happening because of inflation,
it is.
Obviously, our costs are going up. Margins are decreasing. And Seabury has some great information on that in this.
Well, let's talk about that. Let me play a little devil's advocate. I'm not really playing devil's advocate, but let me ask these questions. You're starting to see services lowered in hotels. You have one desk clerk if you're lucky. The lines are longer. There's nobody cleaning your rooms during the day. Food and beverage is on very, very slim schedules. A lot of places aren't doing the breakfast. If they're doing it, they're doing one person, a lot less. So from where I look for as an asset manager and as an operator, it looks like their expenses are lower. in some of these hotels. And the rates are as high as they've ever been. In Orlando, the rates were in one hotel was 40% higher than they've ever had. So I'm talking about hotels that are functioning and that have business. Are their costs, yes, they're higher percentage-wise, but across the board, their FTEs are somewhat lower, at least in the hotels that I'm familiar with.
But I don't think enough lower, and I think they're paying people more to keep them. The fact is, unemployment in the United States is down under 4%, which means that's virtually full employment. Yet all the hotels, all the restaurants are having these jobs that are going wanting. So there's a bit of a disconnect between the notion of full employment and all these jobs that are not yet filled.
My friend runs a hotel with 1,400 employees. He has 800 employees. That's it. He goes, and we've learned that that's the way it's going to be. And we've cut everything we could, and we can't drive ourselves crazy trying to find several hundred employees that don't exist. So this is the way we're going to operate going forward. And their rates are as high as they've ever been. I'm not saying that is typical. And I know hoteliers are hurting. In my business in consulting, we see that in some hotels. So I'm not saying that, but in some hotels, I think, and I hate to say this because I want to get canceled here, some hotels are taking a little bit of advantage of it because they're getting the rates, they're getting the occupancies, and they're still not bringing back the services. I was just in a hotel like that recently where it was booming. It's a booming economy. It's a booming town, and nobody's cleaning my room. Nobody's at the gift shop. Nobody's at the front desk, and I was paying more money than I normally pay for that hotel.
But if you're going to go pay it, this is
careful, Michael. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah,
no doubt.
I'm getting a lot of calls from friends and colleagues and stuff saying it's just like I'm going to the hotels and it's like there's no service.
Yeah. My biggest concern going forward is I think the same thing is happening. I know Disney World is getting a lot of flack as well for raising their prices so much and taking out a lot of the value for it. I'm seeing the same thing in hotels. People will pay it now and they'll go through it now. But when it comes time to make the decision on that next trip, are they going to say it's just not worth it? Let me stay home. So perhaps in 2023, we're not going to be prepared for a potential fall off. Or is everybody just going to say, hey, we'll just roll with the punches and still want to travel because it's our right as Americans? Michael, how do you feel?
Some of all of that. I think that some people will say no, they'll stay at a different hotel because they realize that all they're really doing there is sleeping and showering. And therefore they can pay less because they're not expecting. I'm a big believer in what your expectations are going into the hotel. And therefore, what is perfect service in a Hampton may be a lot different from perfect service in forget it being the luxury side, a Hyatt Regency or a nice Marriott or a nice Hilton property. You have different expectations.
Right.
You pay for that.
Yeah.
I think that I have a child in the vacation rental business. She's deserted the hotel space and she's now a vacation rental person again. That's
but see,
that's
like they've abandoned their expectations,
right?
So they're going to pay a higher rate. That's not happening in these big markets, in these busy markets. You're paying higher rates for lower standard hotel with lower service, and you're paying high rates for high standard hotels with lower standards. So I think we're in a quagmire here because this is not a problem of our doing. Well, you can say maybe it is because we've paid low rates with really bad hours for many, many years. And maybe in some cases, again, being in a lot of independent hotels around the country for 10 years, I saw owners take advantage of employees. So I think it's a long-term problem that we've accepted. I think the guest is starting to learn to accept it. And I think the hotel owner is starting to accept it. And now we're getting into this kind of like airline business where it's like, you just get me there safely.
It'll be interesting. I think this plays out. I mean, as we see the impacts of inflation and whether we can bring it under control without causing another recession.
Right.
I think we're ignoring some of the employee is obviously the greatest cost in the hotel. But when heat, light, and power costs are going up 50% month over month.
Right.
There's nothing you can do about that. You're in a colder climate, you got to have the heat on, and you got to have hot water for shower.
Yeah, right.
To get things into the hotel, we just approved a capital request. For a capital request being approved today, we're still going to be spending money on it 6 months from now. And this isn't renovation. This is just some electronic stuff, technology, and some basic, spa equipment type of thing. But the period of time over which you're outlaying money to get it delivered is over 6 months. So we got supply chain issues still that cause those backups. It's a bit of an intractable problem because it's not caused by anybody, and everyone's throwing whatever the right remedy is. It seems to be the right remedy.
Yeah, Michael, that's interesting because we've been talking about supply chain issues a whole bunch, but nobody's actually mentioned tying up your cash. You're spending all that money early and you don't have it to use to work for you, and you don't have the products to get that to work for you either. So you're kind of in this weird in-between space with the money. Interesting.
And Michael, you're saying that nobody's blaming anyone. You apparently don't visit TikTok very often, do you?
That's a good point. I do not visit TikTok.
No.
I know. Actually, we'll get it out there now. It's Joe Biden's fault. Okay.
Well, everything is always whoever's in the White House's fault. That's the American way, isn't it? Pat Lynchy, Vosberg is saying, where are all the people working now is my question. It's in every industry. So sad. Well, we've learned that Amazon has hired a lot of people, but we've also learned that more new businesses started over the last 2 years than pretty much at any other time in history. I don't have those numbers.
And people retired early. A lot of people,
55 plus set.
They're saying 80% of the resignation is 55 and over.
That's right. Yep. And they're gone.
Right. If I can get these damn kids off my payroll, I'll do it too.
Right.
No, you won't. I mean, look at me. I'm the old guy on this group, and I'm still not ready to call it quits.
No, I'll never be ready.
No, I think a lot of people that are 55 plus that have quit are probably now going ahead and doing some of the things that they've always wanted to do, those things that they told themselves that they would do, and they're experimenting.
There's not a day that goes by, including this morning, that somebody says, I'm in Florida, I moved already, or I'm moving to Florida, or in a couple of years, my kids are out of school, I'm going to Florida. So what is Florida going to do with all these people?
Yeah, I'm a little worried, especially with the weight of all those people. It's going to make the state sink even quicker than it is right now. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a state I'm going to move to at some point because living here in New York is going to become untenable at some point.
Why do you say that?
First of all, I don't love the community I'm in. I love my home, but I don't love the people necessarily that are here. They don't see things the same way that I do, and it's not.
I hope they're not watching this show right now.
No, they're too busy flaming me on Facebook. So there's that, and there's also I'm paying so much money in property taxes every year, and just the right to live here costs me so much that once my wife is no longer in a school district with tenure, working on getting her pension taken care of, what is really going to hold me here if I don't have a community that I love? I'm paying too much money, and I mean, I could take my Traeger wherever I go and smoke meat. So what's the difference?
And the good news is you can take me wherever you go. Just put on Zoom.
I'm going through the same issue with Chicago, and I love Chicago, but our real estate taxes are going up. The state is in trouble, so our state income taxes are going to go up. People are moving out. They're starting to get a little tired of the crime and all that stuff. I don't know what the future is 5-10 years from now in Chicago.
Yeah.
And, I'm sitting here in this beautiful setting in Arizona where I spend half the year, and my grandsons are 45 feet from my front door.
That's amazing.
It's hard not to, other than the fact that it's 192 degrees in the summer.
Yeah.
So you have a house in Arizona as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I'm still an Illinois resident.
So stay in Arizona. Why would you go back?
Because it's unbearably hot in the summer. But I have a child who lives in Denver, which is not unbearably hot in the summer.
Yep.
Sorry, I got the lawn guys are outside my window as we speak. So
That's all right. That's all right. The long guy season starting up here as well. So we're looking forward. We're looking forward to having some of those noises.
I opened my pool, Glenn.
Yeah, ho. Late this year for you, Anthony.
You're so smart. You're right. And my wife won the war this year. I'm like, we're paying the guy starting like at the end of March. Why don't we just open it? For what? I was like, why not open it? We're paying for it. Why not open it? For what? Because I can work outside. I do a lot of work outside, so I like looking at the pool. But now we have a leak in the pool, so I'm looking at a half-empty pool. But anyway, that's my problems.
That's too bad. Well, ours is going to be opening in 2 weeks from now. But when I do move to another state, maybe I'll be able to have the community pool, and I won't have to worry about all of that anymore. So
over 55 community.
Dude, seriously, Michael, I'm looking forward to moving into one of those communities because I know what Margaritaville is doing. Other sectors are going to figure out and to start to develop, communities that are built on psychographics. And I'm going to find one that is perfect for me. I really got to tell the Margaritaville people.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to move to one of those communities. I cannot wait to move into one of those communities.
I know.
Now, Glenn, you know me. Do you think that's a true statement or a false statement?
I do not believe that to be true. No.
That could be further from the truth.
Yeah,
I'd rather live on an by myself.
So, Michael, now before we head towards wrapping up, what is your best advice for a hotelier that would like to find profitability over the next couple of years? What is their best avenue for success? Is it to double down on the properties that they have now, buy a hotel maybe, sell a hotel maybe, quit the business and go work for Amazon, or buy a lot of Tesla stock? What do you think is their best opportunity?
The last two.
Wow. That's like asking me how much water's in the ocean.
Yeah.
How much?
I think that if somebody is not risk averse, that picking up hotels in some of the urban markets, if they can get them at the right price, will be interesting. Because New York is never going to not be New York.
Right.
We've seen that too many times. San Francisco is one of the great cities on the planet. How can it stay unhealthy, even if it is sort of the People's Republic of California? I would look at areas around destination cities and think about whether another resort could make sense. I would look at new communities with limited service properties, the quality limited service properties. But would I think about selling a hotel? Absolutely. If the circumstances were right and there was enough money in it and in the right marketplace where there's still all that capital chasing it, I might very well say sell it, 1031 it, go buy two things that are less expensive and do value add to those.
Yeah, I right now a suburban, the right market, extended stay, name a brand, I think is the way to go. Limited service. I have people approaching me all the time and saying, "Hey, what do you think about a resort?" Where it's like, listen, if you have a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of lawyers and a lot of people backing you up, and you're going to wait 5, 6, 7, 8 years to get your money back, and you want to open this beautiful resort, go for it. Why not buy 5 Holiday Inn Expresses and go to sleep?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But it depends on why does anybody build these luxury resorts?
I still
they
can't
take 7 years from thought to execution. Then you got to sell the residences because you can't build one standalone without residences. Then you got to fight the brand issue with the residences. Yet, if you were going to look at doing a resort, that's probably the way you'd want to go.
Right.
That's the way you want to go. But there's a lot of other ways to invest that kind of capital for over a period of time. But if there was a gentleman I know that invested, well, he got one of those like kind of funny money loans right before 2008. Everything fell apart. Mm-hmm. He was able to, for $5 million, get $100 million investment in a hotel. Now he's doing amazing. That hotel is generational wealth, even in 2000, even now in the last couple of years. But listen, they're few and far between. But to me, the mid-scale extended stay or mid-scale hotels in really good B markets, they print money.
couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
All right, my brother.
Yeah. All right. Let's do that. Michael, how can people find you, get your services?
He's in Arizona. Just listen to the Moving Machine. Just listen.
That's right. fourcornersadvisors.com, just the way you've got it written on the screen. And my email address is there. My phone number's there. I look forward to hearing from anybody that's got a question.
Beautiful. Michael, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here today. Hopefully we'll see you back here in less than another 120 shows. All right.
I'd like that. At your convenience, gents.
Awesome,
Be well.
man.
Sure.
Talk to you soon.
Take care, Michael. All right, Anthony. That was
I love
pretty
him.
good.
He's such a nice guy.
He's so great because he really tells it like it is. And we need some more of that real speak too. And that's why I think he makes such a great advisor. He's not going to sugarcoat anything.
And he lives it every day. It's not like these people that come on. Well, nobody comes on and says the wrong thing. I think we have great guests, but like listen, I'm in it every day, right? I'm fighting the fight every day myself and my clients and stuff. So I have a perspective that a lot of people that maybe are not fighting the fight anymore don't have.
Yeah, right. That's absolutely right. All right, everybody, remember tomorrow I will be not in Atlanta, Baltimore, or as they say it down there, Baltimore, at Ahoacan launching. We'll be joined with 3 great shows with great guests every day at noon. Plus, I'll be doing some extra content there. Please come by and say hello. And until
Are we doing the show tomorrow?
Yeah, we're going to do our show each day. It's just you're going to be in another state, and I'm going to be in person in
I
Baltimore.
probably will not be around Wednesday.
That's okay.
Wednesday.
Yeah, you told me you might have trouble with that because of that special event that's going on. I totally get it. And you're going to miss out on getting to talk to George Limbert and Matt Hostetler of Red Roof, our good friends over
Son of a bitch.
I know. All right, everybody, let's take a moment of silence. And while we're having this moment of silence for Anthony's missing out on a great show on Wednesday, make sure you download our audio podcast on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, wherever you get those. And if you're listening to this now, why not check us out on video? We're available on our LinkedIn pages, our YouTube page, our Facebook pages, all that kind of good stuff. Thanks so much for being here. All right, I got to take a long drive down to Baltimore now.
And you said Red Roof Inn, and this is the first time an impersonator impersonated me. That is the Red Roof Inn comedy. That's John. I had dinner with him the other night.
No, you saw John the other night?
Yeah, he was in New York. He was in New York. We had dinner at Rocco's, and he said, "This is the picture when I impersonated you." And I was like, "Oh my god!" That was the day that Red Roof, I guess, wanted me for 2 days, but they could only afford me for 1 day. So he came in the day before and did me, and I never saw the picture of it.
That's hysterical. I'd love to see that impersonation. All right, everybody, remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See you all next week. Well, tomorrow. It's only Monday.
You're funny, Glenn. You're so funny.